sucrose syrup, high fructose corn syrup, citric acid. We know kids love sports drinks, but are they healthy for them? We're going to find out today, right here on Clubhouse Gas. I'm here again with Diane King, certified athletic trainer at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, registered dietitian and specialist in sports dietetics. Today we're talking about young athletes and healthy eating. Welcome and thanks for being here with us again, Diane.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. So what are some of the basic things parents need to keep in mind when teaching their kids about healthy eating?
Well, I think the most important thing is variety. We talk about the number of foods and the number of different type of nutrients that are needed every day to make energy. And it's really about 40 different nutrients, which means you definitely have to have all 6 food groups being taken in on a daily basis in order for that child to feel good and play well.
Okay, can we look at kids as, young adults? If the mom wants to be on the Atkins diet, can she put this child on the same diet and move on?
Great question. I mean, it's really a dangerous thing to do that. Children are not small adults, and even when you have a highly developed young athlete, you can't treat them the same way that you would an adult because they are still growing and developing. You will never get enough energy in a child following a high protein, low carbohydrate plan, and so parents need to be aware of this, and so even if they're following a different type of food plan format, they still need to feed their child in a healthful way.
Okay, what are the nuts and bolts of that?
Well, I think we have to look at the base of our eating plan is carbohydrate foods, fruits, vegetables, milk and yogurt, as well as all our starchy foods like breads, cereals, rice, and pastas. That's the foundation that we want to have at all meals and most of our snacks.
So is restricting certain foods practical or even necessary?
I think it's probably dangerous, if anything. A lot of times people may restrict milk and dairy either because of a food intolerance or maybe the parent doesn't like milk, but the child still needs it. And not only because of the calcium that's in it and the vitamin D, but there's protein, there's carbohydrate in there. And one thing that we know from a eating standpoint is chocolate milk's probably one of our best recovery foods and something that we often encourage our young athletes to have as a part of their snacking protocol, especially right after practices.
And the small snacks, we've hit on this before, but let's emphasize that once again. This is important for the kids.
Right. Snacks really aren't meant to fill you up, but what they do is they tide you over. And so what we tell parents and their children is if the meals are more than 4 hours apart, so between breakfast and lunch, if breakfast is at 7:30 and lunch may not be till 1 o'clock, you definitely need to have a snack in there. And a lot of times we'll say peanut butter and apple slices, maybe some cheese and crackers. Doesn't have to be big, but what we're doing is we're keeping the fuel stores up at a par level.
And do you recommend going with the 3 meals a day and supplementing with these snacks if you're more than 4 hours between?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's not small meals every couple hours. You do get your 3 big meals in.
Well, there are times when we've got to have young kids eating every 2 hours, and it really just depends on what their calorie needs are. At the very least, we want 3 meals and 2 snacks. And it's easy enough to just put small things in there. Doesn't have to be extravagant. You can have, small baggies full of trail mix or things like that. You can have the peanut butter and crackers that you bring from home or buy in the vending machine. You're not limited to, these super healthy foods when we're talking about snacks because these kids need calories.
Now let's take the situation we're at the ballpark. You've pretty much got your fast food there, your pizza, your popcorn, How do you deal with that? Is that okay in small amounts? Do you want to bring your snacks with you? Is it going to hurt the kid to have a Snickers every once in a while?
Right. I think you have to, kind of look at it from what does my child need? Certainly there are plenty of opportunities to eat and find something to eat at the ballpark. Hot dogs may not always be a parent's favorite choice, but, is it really going to hurt the child? I'd say no. But, the popcorn choices, a lot of times they have pretzel sticks or things like that. They have juice and fruit juice and sports drinks. A lot of the concession stands are starting to carry yogurts and things like that as well, and even fresh fruit.
And the fast food places are doing that too these days.
Very definitely. I mean, they're definitely catering and changing to the consumer's needs. So having that available, that's great. Should that mean that you don't ever give your child French fries? Absolutely not. I mean, I think you have to be realistic and allow for that in moderation.
Okay, you mentioned sports drinks a minute ago. I know a lot of parents are concerned because there's a lot of sugar in a lot of these drinks. What is your take on sports
Well,
drinks?
I think the thing that you have to remember is there's a purpose for that type of drink and that type of beverage. A lot of times parents question me about high fructose corn syrup and is that a problem? And my response is that that is a sweetening agent that makes that drink palatable. Now, should you be drinking Gatorade for breakfast? No. But either right before activity, certainly during activity if they're doing over an hour's worth of practice, and definitely right after are the appropriate times to have drinks like that.
Okay, so there is a place for Gatorade.
Definitely.
Don't do it all the time.
Don't do it all the time.
Okay, and are there any food groups, anything that you say absolutely stay away from?
Just, the really high-fat food choices. A lot of times you'll hear about empty calories, and those are foods like a Krispy Kreme donut, like a Sonic burger. Those choices aren't best for the athlete from the standpoint of energy production. From the standpoint of total food enjoyment, it's not a bad thing to have, and you could probably have them, once a month or something like that. Enjoy the taste of the food, enjoy being a kid, but don't plug that in place of your other healthy food choices.
Okay. Well, this sounds like practical advice, and we certainly thank you once again for helping keep our kids healthy.
You're welcome.
And we thank you for watching this edition of Clubhouse Gas. We'll see you next time.